Is this some kind of joke? Did security take a day off? Gordon Sterling's voice didn't just echo through the lobby of the Apex Tower. It sliced through the air like a guillotine blade. It was 12:15 p.m. on a Tuesday. The lobby was bustling with high-powered executives, tech moguls, and venture capitalists. But suddenly, the room went dead silent. Gordon stood in the center of the atrium, a man who wore his 50 years like a weapon. His suit was a bespoke Italian cut, charcoal gray, costing more than most people's cars. On his left wrist, a Patek Philippe watch glinted under the massive crystal chandelier. He wasn't just a CEO, he was the emperor of this building, and he was currently looking at something that disgusted him. In front of him, sitting on a plush velvet bench designed for VIP clients, was a boy, Leo Vance, 13 years old, black, skinny. He was wearing a faded gray hoodie that had been washed so many times the cuffs were fraying, and a pair of sneakers that had seen better days, maybe 2 years ago. On his lap sat a plastic container, open, revealing a gourmet sandwich. "I'm talking to you, boy," Gordon snapped, taking a step closer. The smell of expensive cologne, sandalwood, and arrogance wafted ahead of him. "We'll let you in here." Leo stopped chewing. He swallowed hard, his eyes wide. He didn't look scary. He looked like a kid who was waiting for his dad. He placed the sandwich back into the container slowly, his hands trembling just a little. Not from fear, but from a rising, cold anger that he was trying desperately to suppress. "I'm waiting for my father, sir," Leo said, his voice quiet but steady. "He works here. Works here." Gordon let out a short, barking laugh that lacked any humor. He turned to his entourage, 3 vice presidents in identical blue suits who were chuckling nervously, terrified to disagree with the boss. "Did you hear that? He says his father works here." Gordon turned back to Leo, his eyes narrowing into slits. "Kid, look around you. This is the Apex Tower. We host Fortune 500 companies. We have hedge funds on the 40th floor. We have law firms that charge $1,000 an hour on the 20th. People who work here wear ties. They don't wear." He gestured vaguely at Leo's entire existence with a hand adorned by a diamond signet ring. "Whatever this is, my dad is Arthur. He's with the maintenance team," Leo said, his chin lifting slightly. The reaction was instantaneous. Gordon's face twisted into a sneer of pure revulsion. "Maintenance? The janitor." He said the word like it was a disease. "So, let me get this straight. The help is now using the client furniture? Is that it?" Gordon took another step. He was looming over the boy now, invading his personal space. He looked down at the plastic container on Leo's lap. He frowned. He leaned in closer, sniffing. "Wait a minute," Gordon said, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Is that prosciutto and brie on artisan bread?" Leo blinked. "Yes." Gordon's face went red. He looked toward the reception desk, where the catering cart for the executive boardroom was being wheeled out. It was laden with the exact same sandwiches. "You little thief," Gordon hissed. The accusation hung heavy in the air. Phones started to come out. A few people in the lobby stopped walking, sensing the drama. A young woman near the elevator hit record on her iPhone. "Excuse me?" Leo asked, his brow furrowing. "Don't play dumb with me," Gordon shouted, causing the receptionist to jump. "That is the catering for the board of directors meeting. That is a $50 sandwich. You think I'm stupid? You think I don't know that a janitor's kid can't afford a $50 lunch?" "I bought this," Leo said firmly, "from the deli across the street. I bought it for my dad because it's his birthday." "Liar." Smack. The sound was sickeningly loud. Gordon's hand lashed out and swiped the container off Leo's lap. The sandwich, the prosciutto, the brie, the fresh arugula, flew through the air and splattered face down onto the pristine, polished white marble floor. A gasp went through the lobby. Leo stared at the food. His dad's birthday lunch. Ruined. Now look what you've done, Gordon sneered, pulling a silk handkerchief from his pocket to wipe his hand, as if touching the plastic container had contaminated him. You've made a mess in my lobby. Do you know how much this marble costs to import from Italy? Do you have any idea the level of disrespect you're showing me right now? I didn't do it, Leo said, standing up. He was small for his age, forcing him to look way up at Gordon. You knocked it over. I removed stolen property from a trespasser. Gordon roared. And now you're going to clean it up. On your knees. Now, sir, please. The voice came from the service elevator. The doors had just opened, and a man came running out. He was out of breath, clutching a mop bucket handle in one hand and a rag in the other. It was Arthur Vance. Arthur was 55, but he looked older today. His blue jumpsuit was stained with sweat and cleaning chemicals. His back was slightly hunched from 30 years of scrubbing floors to put food on the table. He saw his son standing before the CEO. He saw the sandwich on the floor, and panic flooded his eyes. Arthur, Gordon said, his voice icy calm now. Control your animal. Mr. Sterling, I am so sorry. Arthur stammered, rushing between the billionaire and his son. He didn't look at Leo. He looked at the floor, his posture submissive, terrified. He didn't mean any harm, sir. It's his day off from school. He just wanted to surprise me. He was eating stolen executive catering on the VIP bench. Arthur, Gordon lied smoothly. And when I confronted him, he threw it on the floor in a tantrum. I did not, Leo shouted, his fists clenching at his sides. Dad, he slapped it out of my hand. And I bought it. I have a receipt on my phone. Quiet, Leo. Arthur snapped, fear making his voice sharp. He turned back to Gordon, wringing his hands. Please, Mr. Sterling. He's just a boy. He doesn't understand the rules. I'll clean it up. I'll clean it up right now. Arthur dropped to his knees. To Leo, it was like watching a nightmare in slow motion. His father, the strongest man he knew, the man who raised him alone after Mom died, was kneeling on the cold stone, reaching for the smeared cheese and meat with his bare, calloused hands. Dad, stop, Leo whispered, his heart breaking. Don't do that. Get a bag, Arthur, Gordon commanded, looking down at him with a mix of amusement and disgust. And make sure you scrub the grease spot. If I see a stain there later, don't bother coming in tomorrow. Yes, sir. Of course, sir, Arthur mumbled, picking up the ruined bread. Gordon looked around the room, making eye contact with the onlookers, establishing his dominance. He wanted them to see this. He wanted them to know that in Apex Tower, there was a hierarchy. See, Gordon said to his VPs, loud enough for the camera phones to pick up, this is what happens when you let standards slip. You give them an inch, they take a mile. You let the hell brings their brats to work, and suddenly my lobby turns into a ghetto cafeteria. Leo felt a vibration in his pocket. It was his phone, a notification. Ding. In any other reality, Leo was just a janitor's son in a hoodie. But the world and Gordon Sterling didn't know the truth. They didn't know about the nights Leo spent on his secondhand laptop while his dad was working night shifts. They didn't know about the code. 6 months ago, Leo had been bored. He was trying to stream a 4K movie on their terrible, slow apartment Wi-Fi. It kept buffering. Frustrated, Leo started looking at the compression algorithm. He realized it was inefficient, bloated, lazy, so he rewrote it. He called it Vacuum, a lossless compression script that reduced data size by 60% without losing a single pixel of quality. He posted on a developer forum just to see if it worked. Within 24 hours, his inbox exploded. Within 48 hours, lawyers from Silicon Valley were calling. And exactly 1 week ago, Leo Vance, under the pseudonym Ghost Coder, had signed a deal with a consortium of tech giants. The notification on his phone right now wasn't a text message. It was a banking alert from the Cayman National Bank, where his trust had just been fully capitalized. Deposit cleared, $120 million. Leo Vance was currently one of the youngest billionaires in the city. He could buy this sandwich factory. He could buy this lobby. But he hadn't told his dad yet. He wanted to surprise him tonight with a sandwich and then with the news that they were retiring. That dad would never have to touch a mop again. But Gordon Sterling had ruined the surprise. And now, he was humiliating the only person Leo loved. I said, "Scrub it," Gordon barked, nudging Arthur's shoulder with the toe of his polished shoe. It wasn't a kick, but it was close enough. It was an act of total disrespect. Arthur flinched. "I am, Mr. Sterling. I'm getting it all." "Dad, get up," Leo said. His voice was different now. The tremble was gone. It was cold. Hard. Gordon turned his eyes back to the boy. "Excuse me? Did you speak?" "I said, tell my father to get up," Leo said, looking Gordon directly in the eyes. "He is not a dog, and you don't touch him." Gordon blinked, genuinely surprised by the audacity. Then, a cruel smile spread across his face. "Oh, I see. The little thief has a mouth on him. You want him to get up?" "Fiend it." Gordon reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a sleek, black walkie-talkie. "Security to the main lobby. Immediately." "No, please," Arthur cried out, scrambling to his feet, holding the trash in his hands. "Mr. Sterling, please, he's just a kid. Don't call security. We're leaving. I'll take him out the back way. Please, I need this job. I have a pension coming in a year. Please don't do this." "It's too late for that, Arthur," Gordon said, checking his reflection in his watch face. "You clearly can't control your household. And if you can't control a 13-year-old boy, how can I trust you to maintain my building? You're a liability." Two security guards, burly men in tactical vests, jogged over from the desk. They looked uncomfortable. They knew Arthur. Everyone liked Arthur. He was the guy who remembered everyone's birthdays, the guy who shared his coffee. They looked at the boy, then at the CEO. "Grab the boy," Gordon ordered. "Mr. Sterling." The lead guard, a man named Miller, hesitated. "He's just a kid. I gave you a direct order, Miller." Gordon screamed, his composure finally cracking. "Grab this little street rat and throw him onto the pavement. And take his father with him. You're fired, Arthur. Get your things and get out of my sight." "Fired?" Arthur whispered, his face going gray. The bag of trash fell from his hands. "Sir, I've worked here for 20 years, since the foundation was poured. You can't. I just did. Now, get them out before I have you arrested for trespassing too." Miller looked at Arthur with apologetic eyes. "I'm sorry, Artie. You know I have to." Miller reached for Leo's arm. "Don't touch me," Leo said calmly. He stepped back, pulling his phone out of his pocket. Gordon laughed. "What are you going to do? Call your gang? Call your mommy?" "No," Leo said. He unlocked his screen. His thumb hovered over the contacts list. He didn't scroll to Dad. He didn't scroll to police. He scrolled to a contact saved simply as Elena, Wealth Management. "I'm going to make a phone call," Leo said, his voice cutting through the noise of the lobby. "And when I hang up, you're going to wish you had never walked out of that elevator." Gordon stared at him. For a second, just a split second, a flicker of doubt crossed the CEO's face. There was something in the boy's posture, a confidence that didn't match the hoodie. But then, Gordon looked at the shoes again. He looked at the scared janitor, and his arrogance returned tenfold. "Get him out," Gordon roared. "And if he resists, drag him." Miller grabbed Leo's shoulder. "Dad, trust me," Leo said, looking at his father. "Just trust me. Don't say anything. Just wait." As the guards began to push them toward the revolving doors, as the cameras flashed, and as Gordon Sterling laughed with his VPs, Leo Vance pressed the call button. He wasn't crying. He wasn't screaming. He was calculating. Code compiled, Leo thought. Now, running execution phase. Scene cut. Flashback start. 3 weeks earlier. The apartment was small. It smelled of bleach, the smell that always clung to Arthur's clothes, and old cooking oil. It was located in the basement of a brick building in Queens. The windows were at street level, so all day long, they saw feet walking by. Arthur was asleep in the armchair, his mouth slightly open, snoring softly. He was exhausted. He had pulled a double shift because the AC broke on the 15th floor and he had to mop up the leak. Leo sat at the kitchen table, which was actually just a folding card table. The blue light of his laptop illuminated his face. The screen was a waterfall of green text. Compiling. 98%. 99%. Success. Leo exhaled. He rubbed his eyes. He had been working on this for 4 months straight. While other kids were playing Fortnite, Leo was studying data packets. He knew they needed money. Dad's back was getting worse. The doctor said he needed surgery, but the insurance from the cleaning company was garbage. It wouldn't cover it. Leo wanted to fix it. He had to fix it. A video call window popped up on his screen. It was a man in a black t-shirt, sitting in a modern office with a view of the Golden Gate Bridge. "Ghost Coder?" the man asked. "I'm here," Leo typed. He never used his voice. He used a voice modulator software he wrote himself. It made him sound like a 30-year-old man. "We've tested the algorithm," the man on the screen said. He looked serious, shaken even. It's impossible. We ran it on a terabyte of raw 8K footage. It compressed it to 40 gigabytes with zero artifacting. "Do you have any idea what this is worth?" "I have a number in mind," Leo typed. The man laughed. "Whatever number you have, double it. Look, my partners and I, we represent the big three. You know who I mean. We want exclusive rights. Perpetual license. We want to buy the code, the source, and the patent pending." "How much?" Leo typed. The man leaned into the camera. $120 million. Cash deal. Structured through a blind trust, so you remain anonymous. We know you value your privacy. Leo stared at the screen. The cursor blinked. $120 million. He looked over at his dad, sleeping in the chair. He looked at the hole in his dad's sock. He looked at the empty fridge. "Deal," Leo typed. Scene cut. Return to present. The revolving doors of Apex Tower spun, spitting Leo and Arthur out onto the hot pavement of the street. "Stay out." Miller, the guard, said, his voice heavy with regret. "Ati, man, I am sorry. But if you come back in, he'll call the cops. He really will." Arthur stood on the sidewalk, looking at the glass building. The building he had cleaned for 20 years. He looked lost, broken. "What am I going to do?" Arthur whispered, hands covering his face. "Leo, what did you do? Why did you talk back to him?" "I lost my pension. I lost everything." Leo straightened his hoodie. He looked at the massive glass doors. He could see Gordon inside, laughing, pointing at the spot where they had been, miming the way Arthur had knelt. Leo put the phone to his ear. The call had connected. "Elena." Leo said, "Ghost Coder, is it you? Your voice sounds young," the woman on the other end said. "It's me," Leo said. "I need you to execute the contingency plan we discussed. The real estate portfolio." "Now," Elena asked, "you want to move on the asset today?" "Right now," Leo said, watching Gordon Sterling inside the lobby. "I'm sending you my location. The Apex Tower. The Apex Tower. Elena Pozud. That building is owned by a holding company. They've been trying to sell the majority stake for months due to liquidity issues, but they wanted a private buyer. The asking price is steep, $400 million. With leverage, your trust can cover the down payment and secure the financing within the hour, but are you sure?" "Buy it," Leo said. "By 51%, controlling interest. I want it done before lunch is over." "Okay," Elena said, the sound of furious typing in the background. "I'm initiating the transfer. I'm calling the board." I can be there in 20 minutes with the papers. Bring them, Leo said. And Elena? Yes. Bring a new sandwich. Lao hung up. He turned to his father, who was sitting on the curb, head in his hands, weeping softly. Leo sat down next to him. He put an arm around his dad's shaking shoulders. Dad, Leo said softly. Stop crying. You don't understand, son. Arthur choked out. We're done. I'm 55. Who's going to hire me? We'll lose the apartment. We're not losing anything, Leo said. He looked up at the towering skyscraper that scraped the blue sky. In fact, we're expanding. Don't talk crazy, Leo. I'm not crazy, Leo said. Dad, listen to me. Wipe your face. Stand up. Why? So he can laugh at us again? No, Leo said, standing up and offering his hand to his father. Because in about 20 minutes, that man in there isn't going to be your boss anymore. Arthur looked up at his son. He saw something he had never seen before. It wasn't just teenage rebellion. It was power. Pure calm power. Leo, what are you talking about? Just wait, Leo said, checking his watch. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes. And I think we're going to be late. Inside the lobby, Gordon Sterling was feeling fantastic. He had just asserted his authority. He had cleaned up the trash. He felt invincible. He turned to his assistant, Jennifer. Give me a fresh coffee, he ordered, and call the cleaning agency. Tell them I need a new janitor, someone who knows their place, and tell them to deduct the cost of the marble cleaning from Arthur's final paycheck. Yes, Mr. Sterling, Jennifer said, looking down at her desk to hide her disgust. Gordon smiled. It was a good day to be the king. He had no idea that the chess game had already ended. He just hadn't seen the checkmate yet. The sun beat down on the pavement outside Apex Tower. Arthur Vance was pacing back and forth, wiping sweat and tears from his face with the sleeve of his dirty jumpsuit. Leo, please, Arthur pleaded, his voice cracking. We have to go. If the police come, I can't go to jail, son. We'll take care of you. Leo sat calmly on a fire hydrant, checking his phone. Nobody is going to jail, Dad. Except maybe Gordon, eventually. Stop saying his name. Arthur looked at the revolving doors in terror. He's a powerful man. He can crush us. He was a powerful man, Leo corrected. He looked at the time. 12:42 p.m. And here she comes. A low hum filled the street. It wasn't the sound of a taxi or a delivery truck. It was the purr of a V12 engine. A matte black Mercedes Maybach pulled up to the curb, right in front of where Arthur and Leo were standing. It was a car that cost $500,000, sleek, intimidating, and unmistakably expensive. Tourists on the sidewalk stopped to look, expecting a movie star. The driver's door opened. A uniformed chauffeur stepped out and hurriedly opened the rear passenger door. A woman stepped out, Elena Rossi. She was sharp, in her early 30s, wearing a white power suit that looked tailored to the millimeter. She held a thick leather briefcase in one hand and a paper bag from a high-end deli in the other. She radiated authority. Arthur's jaw dropped. He stopped pacing. Who is that? Elena didn't look at the tourists. She didn't look at the building. She walked straight up to the boy in the hoodie, sitting on the fire hydrant. And then she did something that made Arthur dizzy. She bowed, just slightly, but with genuine respect. Mr. Vance, Elena said, her voice professional and crisp. I apologize for the delay. The wire transfer took 3 minutes longer than expected due to the international clearance. Leo hopped off the hydrant. Did you get it? 51%, Elena confirmed, patting the leather briefcase. The papers are signed digitally. The physical copies are here for the board's review. You now own the controlling interest in Apex Tower Holdings. Arthur stared at them. He looked at his son, then at this expensive woman. Lao, what's she talking about? What 51%? Dad, this is Elena. She manages my investments, Leo said casually. He took the paper bag from Elena. And this, He pulled out a fresh gourmet sandwich. Is your lunch? I promise you a birthday meal. Investments, Arthur whispered. Leo, we have $40 in the bank. We had $40, Leo corrected. He looked at the building. Now we have a skyscraper. Come on, we have a meeting. Leo turned and started walking toward the revolving doors. Elena fell into step half a pace behind him like a bodyguard. Leo, no. Arthur grabbed his son's arm. We can't go back in there, Miller said. Miller works for me now, Leo said gently, removing his father's hand. Trust me, Dad. Just one time. Trust me. There was something in Leo's eyes, a glint of the same determination his mother used to have. Arthur swallowed hard. He was terrified, shaking in his boots, but he followed. Scene cut, the lobby. Inside, the atmosphere was still tense. The stain on the floor had been cleaned, but the memory lingered. Gordon Sterling was standing near the elevators, laughing loudly with a potential client, trying to smooth over the earlier scene. It's hard to find good help these days, Gordon chuckled, swirling the ice in his glass. You have to be firm. Show them who's boss. The revolving doors spun. The sound of silence spread through the lobby like a wave. First, Leo walked in. Same hoodie, same sneakers. Then, Arthur, looking like he was walking to his execution. And finally, Elena Rossi, looking like she owned the place. Gordon stopped laughing. He saw them. His face turned a shade of purple that clashed with his tie. Unbelievable, Gordon hissed. He handed his drink to his assistant and marched across the marble floor. His shoes clicked aggressively. Miller, where are you? Miller, the security guard, came running from the desk. He looked panicked. I told them, Mr. Sterling. I told them to stay out. Gordon ignored the guard and stormed right up to Leo, blocking his path. He loomed over the boy, veins bulging in his neck. I thought I made myself clear, Gordon spat. I told you to get out. Now I'm calling the police. You are trespassing. And you. He pointed a finger at Elena. I don't know who you are, lady, but if you're with them, you're going down too. Aiding and abetting a trespasser. Elena didn't blink. She adjusted her glasses calmly. Mr. Sterling, I presume. I am the CEO of this building. Gordon shouted, and I am ordering you to leave. Actually, Elena said, her voice cool and amplified by the acoustics of the lobby. You are the CEO? Gordon froze. Excuse me. My name is Elena Rossi. I represent the majority shareholder of Apex Tower Holdings. She lifted the briefcase. As of 12:45 p.m. today, a purchase was executed. My client has acquired 51% of the stock. The lobby went quiet, dead quiet. The receptionist stopped typing. The guests stopped talking. Even the elevator bell seemed to pause. Gordon stared at her. Then he burst out laughing. It was a nervous, incredulous laugh. You, majority shareholder. Gordon wiped a tear from his eye. He looked at Arthur in his dirty jumpsuit. He looked at Leo in his hoodie. Let me guess. The janitor won the lottery? Is that it? You think you can just walk in here with a cheap suit and some printed papers and scare me? It's not a lottery, Leo said. His voice was quiet, but it carried. And the papers aren't fake. Gordon leaned down, getting right in Leo's face again. Listen to me, you little gutter rat. I don't care what game you're playing. I run this board. I run this building. Now get out before I throw you out myself. Gordon reached out to grab Leo's hoodie. Whack. Elena's hand moved faster than sight. She intercepted Gordon's wrist, gripping it with surprising strength. She pushed his hand away. Do not touch him, Elena said, her voice dropping an octave. It was a threat. Assaulting a board member is a felony. Board member? Gordon sputtered, pulling his hand back. He's a child. He's the son of a janitor. Technically, Leo said, stepping around Gordon toward the elevators. I'm a chairman of the board now. and we have a meeting upstairs. I believe the directors are waiting." Leo pressed the up button. Gordon stood there, his brain trying to process the impossibility of the situation. He looked at his VPs. They were checking their phones furiously. "Mr. Sterling," one of the VPs whispered, his face pale. "Stock ticker. Look at the ticker. Apex Tower Holdings just spiked. Someone bought a massive block. It's real." Gordon snatched the phone. He stared at the screen. The blood drained from his face. "No, Gordon Guisperth. That's impossible. Who has that kind of cash?" The elevator doors opened. Leo stepped inside. He held the door open. "Coming, Dad?" Leo asked. Arthur stood frozen in the middle of the lobby. Everyone was looking at him. For 20 years, he had entered this building through the service door in the alley. He had never, not once, ridden the main executive elevator. "Lau," Arthur stammered. "Come on, Mr. Vance," Elena said gently, gesturing to the elevator. "The boss is waiting." Arthur looked at Gordon. The CEO looked small now, confused, sweating. Arthur took a deep breath. He straightened his back. He walked past Gordon Sterling without saying a word and stepped into the elevator with his son. Elena followed and pressed the button for the penthouse boardroom. As the doors began to close, Leo looked out at Gordon one last time. "You might want to polish that spot on the floor, Gordon," Leo said. "It looks a little smudged." Ding. The doors closed. Gordon Sterling was left standing in the lobby, surrounded by whispering employees and recording smartphones. He felt a cold sweat trickling down his back. He turned to Miller. "Get the legal team. Get security. Get everyone upstairs. Now." Gordon ran for the second elevator, buttoning his jacket with shaking hands. He didn't know how, he didn't know why, but he knew one thing. His life was about to crash. Inside the plush, mirrored elevator, the silence was thick. The numbers climbed. 10, 20, 30. Arthur leaned against the wall, his legs giving out. He slid down until he was crouching. "Leo," Arthur gasped. "Is it real? Tell me the truth. Did you steal money? Did you hack a bank?" "No, Dad." Leo crouched beside him. "I wrote code. Remember that video game I was working on? It wasn't a game. It was a compression engine. I sold it. Sold it." Arthur looked at his son's face. "For how much?" Leo hesitated. He looked at Elena. $120 million, Mr. Vance," Elena answered softly. "Your son is a genius. A legitimate, self-made genius." Arthur's eyes filled with tears. He grabbed Leo's face with his rough, calloused hands. "You did this? For us. For you," Leo said. "So you never have to kneel for anyone again." Arthur pulled his son into a hug, burying his face in the gray hoodie. He sobbed, releasing 20 years of exhaustion and humiliation. Leo held him tight. "Wipe your eyes, Dad," Leo whispered as the elevator slowed down at the 50th floor. "Showtime." The elevator dinged. The doors opened. Directly in front of them were double glass doors etched with the words, "Apex Tower, Boardroom." Through the glass, they could see 12 men and women in suits sitting around a massive oak table. They looked up, annoyed at the interruption. Leo stood up. He adjusted his hoodie. He picked up the sandwich bag. "Ready?" Leo asked. Elena nodded. Leo pushed open the glass doors and walked into the lion's den. The boardroom of Apex Tower was a sanctuary of silence and power. 12 people sat around a mahogany table that was longer than a bowling alley. These were the titans of industry, men and women who moved millions with a phone call. At the head of the table sat an empty chair. Gordon Sterling's chair. The heavy glass doors swung open. Every head turned. They expected Gordon. Instead, they saw a 13-year-old boy in a stained gray hoodie, holding a crumpled paper bag. Behind him, a terrified janitor in a blue jumpsuit. And flanking them, a woman in a white suit who looked like a shark in human skin. "Excuse me," asked an elderly board member, Mr. Henderson. He adjusted his spectacles. Are we being pranked? Who let the cleaning staff in during a session? I apologize for the interruption, Elena said, her voice projecting clearly across the room. She didn't ask for permission. She walked straight to the empty chair at the head of the table. She pulled it out. Please, have a seat, Mr. Chairman, she said, gesturing to Leo. Leo walked past the stunned billionaires. He sat in a massive leather chair. It squeaked as he settled in. He looked small in it, but his eyes were steel. He placed the paper bag on the polished wood table. Thump! You can't sit there, a woman with pearls gasped. That is Mr. Sterling's seat. Not anymore, Leo said. Suddenly, the doors flew open again. Gordon Sterling burst in. He was out of breath, his tie crooked, sweat beading on his forehead. Miller and two other guards were behind him. Get them out, Gordon screamed, pointing a shaking finger at Leo. Security, drag them out. Call the police. They hijacked the elevator. Miller stepped forward, reaching for his baton. One step closer, Elena said, not even looking up from her briefcase. And you will be terminated for assaulting the majority owner of this building. Check your employee handbook, Miller. Section 4, paragraph 2, security answers to the board. And the board is him. She pointed a pen at Leo. Miller froze. He looked at Gordon. He looked at the kid. The owner? She's lying. Gordon roared, slamming his hands on the table. It's a scam. A trick. He's the janitor's kid. He was eating garbage in my lobby 10 minutes ago. Sit down, Gordon, Leo said. The voice was quiet, calm, but it had an edge that cut through Gordon's shouting. Excuse me. Gordon blinked. I said sit down, Leo repeated. You look sweaty. It's unprofessional. The board members looked at each other. They sensed a shift in the wind. These were sharks, and they smelled blood. Gordon's blood. Mr. Sterling, Mr. Henderson said slowly. Perhaps you should sit. Let's hear what this young man has to say. Gordon's face went purple, but he had no choice. He pulled out a side chair and sat, fuming, glaring at Arthur, who was standing by the wall, trying to make himself invisible. My name is Leo Vance, Leo began, addressing the room. And that man standing by the wall is my father, Arthur. He has cleaned your floors for 20 years. He knows your birthdays. He knows how you like your coffee. And today, Mr. Sterling fired him for eating lunch. He was stealing. Gordon interrupted. Silence, Leo snapped. He reached into the paper bag. He pulled out the sandwich Elena had brought. Prosciutto and brie, Leo said. $50. A rounding error for this company. Leo turned to Elena. Show them the files. Elena connected her tablet to the main screen. The massive projector wall lit up. It wasn't a sandwich receipt. It was a spreadsheet. Red numbers everywhere. While reviewing the acquisition documents over the last hour, Elena narrated, standing up, we found some interesting discrepancies in the operating budget, specifically under maintenance and facilities. Gordon's face went from purple to ghost white. That's confidential, Gordon shouted, trying to stand up. You can't show that. Seat. Down. Mr. Henderson barked. He was looking at the screen. Elena, zoom in on line 402. The screen zoomed in. HVAC repair budget. Minus $200,000 cut. Executive office renovation. Italian marble plus $250,000 approved. You cut the air conditioning repair budget, Leo said, looking at Gordon. That's why the AC broke on the 15th floor last week. That's why my dad had to work a double shift to mop up the leak. That's why his back gave out. Leo stood up. He wasn't a kid anymore. He was a prosecutor. You made my father break his back mopping up your mess, so you could buy new floors for your office? The room went deadly silent. The board members looked at Gordon with disgust. Not because he was cruel, but because he was caught. It was a reallocation of assets. Gordon stammered, sweat dripping onto his expensive collar. To improve the aesthetic value of the property. We're not done, Elena said coldly. She swiped the screen. A new document appeared. Cayman Islands. Shell Company. Sterling Consulting Group. Why is Apex Tower paying a consulting firm in the Caymans $50,000 a month for leadership coaching? Elena asked. A firm that is registered to your wife's maiden name? Gordon stopped breathing. The board members gasped. This wasn't just cruelty. This was embezzlement. Fraud. Mr. Henderson whispered. He's stealing from us. I can explain. Gordon's voice was a squeak now. It's a tax strategy. It's complicated. It looks simple to me, Leo said. You steal from the company. You abuse the staff. And you judge people based on their shoes. Leo looked at his father. Arthur was staring at the screen, his mouth open. He realized, finally, that the man he had feared for years was nothing but a thief in a suit. Dad, Leo said, come here. Arthur walked slowly to the head of the table. He stood next to his son's chair. Mr. Sterling said you were fired, Leo said. He said you were trash. But since I own 51% of this building, and I am the chairman, I think the staffing decisions are up to me. Leo turned to the board. I make a motion to terminate Gordon Sterling as CEO, effective immediately for cause embezzlement, fraud, and gross misconduct. Do I have a second? Seconded, Mr. Henderson said instantly. Seconded, said the woman with pearls. All in favor? Leo asked. Every hand in the room went up. 12 hands. Leo looked at Gordon. It's unanimous. You're fired. Gordon sat there, slumped. His power had evaporated in 10 minutes. The Emperor had no clothes. You can't do this, Gordon whispered. I built this brand. I am Apex Tower. You are nothing, Leo said. Miller, the security guard, stepped forward. He wasn't looking at Gordon with fear anymore. He was looking at him with contempt. Yes, Mr. Chairman? Miller asked Leo. Escort Mr. Sterling out of the building, Leo said. And Miller? Make sure you check his pockets. We don't want him stealing any office supplies. A ripple of laughter went through the room. Gordon's face burned. It was the ultimate humiliation. Miller grabbed Gordon by the arm, the same rough grip he had used on Leo earlier. Let's go, Gordon, Miller grunted. Don't make a scene. Gordon Sterling, the man who thought he was a god, was dragged out of his own boardroom. As he passed Arthur, he looked up. He expected to see the janitor gloating. But Arthur wasn't smiling. He just looked disappointed. I polish your shoes every morning, Mr. Sterling, Arthur said softly. I thought you were a gentleman. I guess the suit really doesn't make the man. The doors closed behind Gordon. Silence returned to the room, but it wasn't tense anymore. It was respectful. Leo let out a long breath. He slumped a little in the big chair. He was just a 13-year-old kid again. Mr. Vance, Mr. Henderson said, looking at Leo with new appreciation. That was impressive, but we have a company to run. We need a CEO. You are a minor. You can't run operations. I know, Leo said. I have school, and I have code to write. Leo turned to his father. But I know someone who knows this building better than anyone. Someone who knows every leak, every wire, and every employee. Arthur looked around, confused. Who? Leo smiled. You, Dad. Me? Arthur laughed nervously. Leo, I'm a janitor. I don't know how to run a company. You don't need to know finance, Leo said. Elena can handle the money. The board can handle the strategy. We need someone to handle the people. Someone who won't treat them like garbage. Leo looked at the board. My condition for not selling my shares and liquidating this entire company is simple. Arthur Vance is the new head of operations. With a salary of... Leo looked at Elena. $500,000 a year, Elena suggested. Plus stock options. $500,000, Leo nodded. Do we have a deal? Mr. Henderson looked at Arthur. He saw a man with rough hands, a dirty jumpsuit, and dignity. The building has been cleaner than ever under his watch, the woman with pearls noted. I vote yes, Henderson said. Arthur grabbed the back of the chair to steady himself. Now, I don't know what to say. Say yes, Dad, Leo whispered. And then, let's go home. I am hungry, and you still owe me a birthday lunch. Arthur looked at his son. Tears streamed down his face again, but this time they were tears of pride. Yes, Arthur said firmly. I accept. The boardroom erupted in applause. Not polite, golf clap applause. Real applause for the boy who took down a tyrant and the father who raised him right. 20 minutes later, Gordon Sterling was standing on the curb. He had been stripped of his badge. His phone was wiped remotely. He was holding a cardboard box with a stapler and a photo of himself. A black Mercedes Maybach pulled up. The window rolled down. Leo sat in the back seat, sipping his soda. Arthur was next to him, looking shell-shocked but happy. Hey, Gordon, Leo called out. Gordon looked up, hate in his eyes. You were right about one thing, Leo said. What? Gordon spat. My dad doesn't belong in the lobby, Leo smiled. He belongs in the penthouse. Leo rolled up the window. The car peeled away, leaving Gordon Sterling alone on the sidewalk, exactly where he had tried to throw them an hour ago. Passers-by walked around him. Nobody looked at him. Nobody cared. Without his suit, without his title, he was just another angry man on a street corner. Invisible. 1 year later, the lobby of Apex Tower looked different. The cold, intimidating white marble was still there, but the atmosphere had changed. There were comfortable sofas. There was a free coffee station for all staff, including the maintenance team. At the front desk, a bronze plaque had been installed. It read, "Respect is the foundation of this building." The revolving door spun. A man walked in. It was Arthur Vance, but he wasn't wearing a blue jumpsuit. He was wearing a navy blue bespoke suit, tailored to fit his broad shoulders perfectly. He walked with his head held high, radiating a quiet confidence. He paused by a young man mopping the floor near the entrance. "Morning, Marcus," Arthur said, stopping to shake the cleaner's hand. "How's your mother doing?" "Much better, Mr. Vance." Marcus smiled, leaning on his mop. "Thanks for the recommendation for that specialist. The company insurance covered everything. That's what it's there for." Arthur patted him on the shoulder. "Don't work too hard. Take a break in 20 minutes. Arthur walked to the elevator, the main elevator. He swiped his platinum key card. As he waited, he glanced at the flat-screen TV mounted on the wall, tuned to the financial news network. The headline flashed in red. Former CEO sentenced. The news anchor's voice filled the lobby. In a Manhattan courtroom today, disgraced former executive Gordon Sterling was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison for embezzlement and wire fraud. The charges stem from an internal audit at Apex Tower last year. Footage played on the screen. It showed Gordon Sterling looking gaunt and unshaven, being led out of a courthouse in handcuffs. He tried to cover his face with a newspaper, but the cameras caught his fear. He looked old, defeated. Arthur watched for a moment. He didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He just nodded, a silent acknowledgement that justice had been served, and stepped into the elevator. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse office. It was a hive of activity. Young programmers sat on beanbags coding on laptops. There was music playing softly. It looked less like a corporate dungeon and more like the future. Leo Vance sat at the massive oak desk, the same desk Gordon used to pound his fist on. Leo was 14 now, taller. He still wore a hoodie, but it was crisp black cashmere. "Hey, Dad," Leo said, spinning around in his chair. "Elena just sent the quarterly report. Occupancy is at 100%. Tenants love the new management style. Revenue is up 40% since we took over." "That's good." Arthur sat on the edge of the desk. But how's the other project? The Vance Initiative? Leo smiled. That's what I wanted to show you. Leo tapped a key. The wall-sized screen lit up. It showed a map of the city. Dozens of glowing dots appeared in the poorest neighborhoods: Queens, the Bronx, Brooklyn. We launched the scholarship portal this morning, Leo explained. Full tuition, laptops, and coding boot camps for kids from low-income families. Kids whose parents are janitors, bus drivers, servers. Kids like me. Arthur looked at the map. How many? 500 applications in the first hour, Leo said. We're going to fund them all. Elena Rossi walked in, carrying a tray. On it were 2 sandwiches, prosciutto and brie on artisan bread. Lunch is served, gentlemen, Elena smiled. And Mr. Vance? The press is downstairs. They're waiting for the statement. Leo took a sandwich. He looked at his dad. You ready to tell them? Arthur stood up. He adjusted his tie. I spent 20 years looking at the floor, son. I think I'm ready to look at the cameras. Scene cut. The press conference. The lobby was packed. Not with angry board members, but with journalists, cameras, and flashing lights. A podium stood in the center, exactly where Leo had been forced to kneel a year ago. Leo walked up to the microphone. He had to stand on a small box to reach it comfortably. The room went silent. My name is Leo Vance. He began, his voice deeper now, steady. I am a majority owner of Apex Tower. Camera shutters clicked like rain. A year ago, right on this spot, Leo pointed to the floor. A man told me I was trash because I was eating his sandwich. He judged me by my hoodie. He judged my father by his uniform. Leo paused, looking directly into the lens of the main camera. He thought power meant wearing a suit and shouting at people. He thought success meant having a gold watch. Leo held up his wrist. It was bare. No Rolex. No diamonds. He was wrong. Real power isn't about what you wear. It's about what you build. And real success isn't about how much money you keep. It's about how much opportunity you give away. Leo gestured to Arthur, who stepped up beside him. This is Arthur Vance, my father, the operations director of this company. Last year, he was invisible to the people in this building. Today, he runs it. Applause rippled through the room. We are announcing a new rule at Apex Tower, Leo continued, and a new fund, the Hidden Genius Grant. $50 million dedicated to finding talent in the places people usually forget to look. Leo leaned closer to the microphone. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. To every kid out there who is being told they don't belong, to every parent working 2 jobs who feels like they're invisible, I see you. We see you. Leo took a breath. Gordon Sterling is in prison because he underestimated the people he stepped on. Don't make his mistake. The janitor you ignore today might be the boss who signs your paycheck tomorrow. Leo stepped back. The room exploded. Applause, cheers, questions. Now, one photo. Leo ignored the questions. He turned to his dad. Arthur put a hand on his son's shoulder. They shared a look, a secret language of survival and victory. Let's go home, Dad, Leo said. I have homework, and I have to inspect the boiler room. Arthur winked. Old habits. They walked away from the podium, through the cheering crowd, back toward the elevators. Elena Rossi walked a step behind them, smiling like a proud aunt. As the elevator doors closed on them, shielding them from the flashbulbs, the last thing the camera caught was Leo Vance, the boy in the hoodie, handing his father half of a $50 sandwich. The screen fades to black, then cuts to Leo sitting in his gaming chair in his room, looking directly at you, the viewer. The lighting is moody, intimate. 30 years in prison for fraud. A legacy destroyed. All because of a sandwich and an ego. Leo leans in. But here's the scary part. If I didn't know how to code, if I didn't have that money in the bank, my dad and I would have been thrown out on the street that day. We would have lost everything. And Gordon would still be sitting in that chair, laughing. Leo's face gets serious. How many geniuses are we mopping floors right now? How many CEOs are sitting in classrooms being told they are stupid because they can't afford a tutor? Gordon judged me by my cover, and he paid the price. But the world does this every single day. So I have a challenge for you. Next time you see someone in a uniform, a waiter, a cleaner, a delivery driver, look them in the eye. Say thank you. Respect them, because you have no idea who they really are, and you have no idea who they might become. If you believe that respect costs nothing but means everything, like this video. If you've ever been underestimated, tell me your story in the comments. I read every single one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories about truth and justice. My name is Leo, and remember, never let anyone tell you your place. You define your place.